The 24-hour Le Mans has been running every year since 1923, except for the years between 1940 and 1948, because some dude in Germany decided to be a D-bag and ruin everybody's day. With those dates aside, it's essentially been running for 99 years. Today, we're going to talk about the most successful manufacturer, Porsche. I'll go over when they started, their most successful cars, and some aspects of the new LMDH car that they'll be using to re-enter the sport after a 5-year hiatus. So stick around for the history of Porsche at Le Mans. Did you know that Porsche is the only team to have competed in every single Le Mans for the last 71 years? No? Perfect. I've taught you something. Well, it started in 1951 when Ferdinand Porsche was approached by one of the founding members, Charles Furreau. Charles explained that it would be the ultimate test of Porsche's 356 SL, 1.1-liter 4-cylinder engine making a whopping 46 horsepower. In their debut season, they didn't manage to win overall, but they did manage to win first in their class in the 1.1-liter category. They kept winning up until 1959, where none of the Porsches managed to finish the race. This was a shock to everyone, especially since the previous year they had entered in 2 classes and won both of them. Don't worry, the disappointment didn't last long. In 1960, they brought the 356B and the 718 and won in both classes. And this tradition brings us all the way up to the 1970s race. Fun fact, did you know that the Le Mans start is the reason why Porsche has the keyhole on the left side of the steering wheel? No? Well, you do now. You're welcome. 1970 would be the first year that Porsche would claim overall victory with the 917KH. They used cutting-edge aerodynamics utilizing a low drag setup specifically for Le Mans. They managed to cram a 5-liter flat 12, yes, a flat 12, and weighing it at only 1,800 pounds, it's no surprise that they took victory. But not only did they claim victory, but they also took the entire podium with the top class taking first and second place, then third place in the prototype category. They managed to get the fastest lap that year at a 3-minute and 21-second lap time. They followed that up again with another overall victory in 1971. While they would continue to get class wins, they wouldn't get another overall victory till 1976 with the 936. In 1979, they took another win with the Kremer 935 K3. This was driven by alleged drug dealers, the Whittington brothers. VinWiki has an awesome story on this one. You gotta go check it out. Moving ahead to the 1980s, the organizers decided to start a new class called Group C. This was essentially a free-for-all to see who can make the best car. With the freedom to do as they choose, they started to get very dominant with either taking overall win or at least making the podium. The car that they used for this was the 962. The engine was a 2.65-liter turbo flat 6 getting upwards of 635 horsepower. With only 1,700 pounds, this car was essentially a fighter jet. With this car in 1983, they got so many wins they even created a meme out of it. It's called the Nobody's Perfect meme. This shows them winning every place, going all the way down to 10th place, except for 9th, which went to Sauber. Oops! For the next 3 years, they would lock up every spot up to 5th place. And they won overall victory for the next 7 years straight. Going into the 90s, they got off to a rocky start with not getting an overall victory until 1994 with their 962 in the legendary Group C class. But wait, it gets better. After winning with the 962 for a few years, they debuted in one of the most iconic cars to ever hit the circuit, the 911 GT1 in 1998. Based cosmetically and aerodynamically off the Group C class car, this was low to the ground with a protruding front splitter and massive rear wing. Using a 3.2-liter flat 6, hey, that's the same motor in my Boxster S. Let's compare. Nah, it's not the same. Transitioning into the 2000s, Porsche had a real downturn. They didn't have a single overall victory the entire decade. Those spots were mostly taken up by Audi and Peugeot. The beginning of the LMP1 era was not very kind to them. They wouldn't even get another overall victory until 2015, and even then, it wasn't even a car they wanted. Their star car was the number 19919. Unfortunately, that wasn't the one that made it across the finish line first. The car that did take the overall win was amateur team driven by Earl Bamber, Nick Tandy, and Nico Hulkenberg. Yes, the Formula 1 driver. He probably should have just stayed in endurance racing. Aww. After that, they then took overall victories in 2016 and 2017. After achieving their 19th world title, they announced that they would be pulling out of the LMP1 category in favor of Formula E. Now that we're all caught up, let's look into what you're really here for. Porsche's LMDH 963 debuted at the 2020 Goodwood Festival of Speed. Cosmetically, we see the red, black, and white colors we see on the 917 from the 1970s. Aerodynamically, it's very similar to the LMP1 car with a few changes. We can see that unlike the 919, the 963 has the front wheel wells less prominent. The air ducts from the front bumper to the sides are there for better downforce and cooling. On top of that, we have an inlet for cooling, which actually has these little fins to help guide the air into it. We also have these other cool ducts on the side here to help the cooling with the rear brakes. Overall, aerodynamically, it looks like they're really trying to cut as much drag as they're allowed to get that speed down the Mulsanne straight. For the engine, they're using the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 that comes out of the Cayenne Hybrid. Cayenne Hybrid SUV.
Duh.
They're also using the 40 horsepower recovery system, bringing their grand total up to about 680 horsepower. Will the 2023 season be their 20th victory? Considering how dominant they've been in the past and how well they know this race, it's not a huge leap to think that their first year back will end in an overall victory. What do you think? Do you think they'll come back and claim their 20th overall victory, or do you think somebody else is going to take it in 2023? Let me know in the comments down below. And that is it for the history of Porsche and Le Mans. I hope you enjoyed everything. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.